Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Twitter Spaces. I believe this is episode 3 from memory. So, welcome. We are focusing on the AI protocol and the infrastructure for intelligence. We'll just do a little bit of introductions and then I think we'll honestly dive right into it. But this is the third Altered Spaces from ASM. Now, I guess, turning into a wider Futureverse series. We deep dive into topics here relating to gaming, AI, Web3. I'm Dan. I am the product support manager for Futureverse, as well as I host a bunch of the events because that's just what I do. I'm really excited for today's one too because we've had the release of Paddy. People have gotten their first look at the GitHub and the open source code that they can start playing with. But we're going to dive into the world of the ASM AI protocol, the platform that aims to democratize AI and bring decentralized intelligence to a wider audience. Honestly, join us to explore the possibilities of this open source infrastructure and its implications for the future of AI. The protocol will be combining things, like the ASM brains, the ASTO token, the root network to develop a decentralized AI experience. And it provides the open source code to build the AI experiences as well. So it's not just us that are doing it, but anyone can do it with the code that's out there. We're going to go through a few questions that we've got for Nicolas as well as David. But we will be inviting people to join us for live questions around the AI and such nearer the back end of the episode. So if you do have any questions after we go through everything that we've sort of got pre-prepared, that is pre-prepared on this document. I'm not sure if our speakers have actually been shown it, so hopefully. But if you do have your own questions, please feel free to join up once that's here. But I'll go through the intros. Firstly, David McDonald, welcome, founder of ASM and leader of apparently something called Sector 369. Confused as to what that is. Maybe you could elaborate, David.
No, it's top secret.
Top secret. All right, there you go. Yep. Top secret.
Top secret.
All right.
As you know, Futureverse has brought together a number of companies, including Altered State Machine, meaning that Altered State Machine no longer requires a CEO. So I've moved into a new role. That's pretty exciting. I'll be focusing on innovation and leading up a section of the company that's dedicated to greenfields innovation, particularly in the space of AI, which is quite cool. So watch this space for more info on that.
Awesome. Thanks very much, David. And joining us as well is Nicolas. Now, Nicolas, I have a little bit of an intro for you here. Nicolas, PhD, by the way, is an accomplished mathematician and the head of research at Futureverse, which I believe is the head of David's department. It's largely focused on AI gamification, continual learning. You're currently working with AI gamification and how Web3 and ZK can revolutionize the efforts around the democratization of AI and machine learning. And I mean, honestly, Nicolas, I think you could put it into better words, but welcome and maybe give us a little bit of info about yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan. My name is Nicolas. I've been working at ASM for a bit more than a year with David in particular on the intelligence mining and intelligence protocol, in particular on AIFA, on FIFA, on TNL, and trying to put together all the very ambitious vision and making it come to life. And I'm really looking forward for this conversation today.
Awesome, thank you very much, Nicolas. And while we have you in the sort of intro state, can you tell us sort of a little bit about your background and then what also drew you to what was the ASM project, now the Futureverse project?
Yeah, absolutely. I originally come from France, as you may guess from my accent. Trying to do my best to be understood. But I've been in New Zealand for a bit less than 10 years, working mostly in AI startup stage, and so I've worked for different companies, and I've been following this space in New Zealand for a while. I've also worked in the gaming industry in the past. Over the last 10 years, I've mostly been focusing on the machine learning and AI space, and how to allow at first companies to leverage these new technologies. And I think what was very fascinating with ASM is how we could lower the entry point for AI by gamifying, by getting people to discover more about AI by playing new mini games and develop a new breed of games. It is a very ambitious project. I love that, and really looking forward to make that happen.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Nicolas. David, I've got one for you here, which Nicolas might be able to speak on afterwards as well. But we're looking for a little bit of background, which is, what is the ASM AI, or I guess Futureverse AI protocol, and subsequently, what is PADI?
So for a startup, it'll always be ASM. So ASM
Okay,
is
perfect.
a brand that will remain under Futureverse umbrella. Just like other brands, Silo and things like that are still present. To answer your question, a little bit of a overview of what ASM Protocol aims to do, and then maybe a little bit into PADI, what PADI is doing towards contributing towards that. So the ASM Protocol is designed to democratize access to artificial intelligence. So to create an infrastructure and a protocol to allow people to get access to the tools to train artificial intelligence and the tools to own artificial intelligence. Essentially at its core, PADI is a kind of a light version of, or the first version of that was put out to the community. We had the original plans was to have AIFA come out sort of all guns blazing as the first example of the ASM protocol, but there has been some delays to that, which the community is very well aware of. One of the piece of feedback we got from the community was just release some stuff that you've got now. So this is a direct answer to that request, where this is not quite the full version of protocol that was used to build the intelligence mining protocol that was used to build things like FIFA, because that's going through the process of becoming production ready. But it is a view as at what sort of the framework of the protocol, and what we call the lightweight execution environment, which can be used for games like simple games like Pong, and can be expanded into larger ones as well.
Awesome. Thanks very much for that, David. It gives us a bit of a background. And Nicolas, with PADI, what if any was your involvement with that side of things, and have you been playing around with it, and how have you been finding it as well?
Yeah, so my direct involvement in PADI has been low. Like I guess I've been driving the original some original ideas and kind of the game mechanics that can arise from these kind of games, and then the development of the game and how it fits under the protocol is kind of following the philosophy that we've put in place at ASM. In how to build consistently these kind of games. The games like AIFA are much more complex and are in order to have a high engagement and high AI quality models takes a bit more effort. And so Paddy was really there and is really there to say, this is what the protocol is. This is what intelligence mining is, and this is how you are going to be able to interact with AI model through ASM AI Protocol.
So so Nick has been and his team have been building the actual full AI protocol and intelligence mining protocol that is currently running FIFA game. The kind of difference between that and what will be production for AIFA is that it's made for engineers to use right now and data scientists to use. The next stage of that is distilling it down to so the tools can be used by everyone. But Nick is really the one that's responsible for creating that big, more elaborate version that can do complex things like from training soccer to basically anything you want to get your AI to do. That's the work that Nick's been doing.
Yeah, so currently Nicolas would understand it, and the goal is for someone like me to understand it and how to use it.
That's the goal. And again, I'm very passionate around the educational aspect and how to lower the entry point. How these kind of games is going to evolve is going to be much driven by the users. How the agents are going to behave is going to evolve very organically. It's not going to come from push from the developers. It's really going to come from how the players desires the game to evolve. And this is part of the challenge that we have. And Pong is really aligned with a vision of how we want to expose the user to interact with this kind of game. It is a first attempt, and we want to kind of build this feedback with the community to improve that.
Awesome. Thanks for the input, guys. It's interesting to sort of get to a point where I would understand how to use this protocol, and people out there being able to get their hands on the tools. So Paddy was a big one for me of getting to play with, and it makes sense, which was fun, and sort of see the results of training and the improvements of things. Following on from that, sort of on this the topic of the open source nature of ASM's AI protocol. It's looking to sort of empower developers and users to build their own AI experiences. And how do you think this can foster innovation, and what opportunities does it create for developers and even just enthusiasts to contribute and collaborate with it?
So we are like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, I'll go first, and then you can jump in and say something much smarter than me. My opinion has always been that that open source development, AI development, will absolutely outpace proprietary development at the end of the day. And it seems, with the Google internal memo leaks and presentations and stuff that came out a little while ago, that even the proprietary people absolutely believe that. And I think it's the way forward for this kind of collaborative innovation. So we have always been a firm supporter of the open source community, contributing where we can. And collaborating with that community to push open source AI tooling further, excuse me. And it's essential to how the ASM protocol actually works, because you can't own it. You can't own something that's proprietary to somebody else. So open source is an essential part of that, creating that open source and ownable agnostic AI agnostic framework.
And so surprisingly, I'm absolutely very aligned with what David said. Like this concept of open innovation and believing that the innovation is not going to necessarily emerge from a small group of people believing that they are the best and they are going to change everything. Like having having a space where ideas, where contributions can emerge and can be kind of can confront each other, can be challenged, can be improved, can be given new perspectives, is something that we are very interested in. It's also the way we are working, in the way we are working internally in the company, and opening up to a wider audience is absolutely something we want to push forward.
Awesome. Thanks very much, guys. And going on from there too. So obviously, with how we want it to be open source and people actually have ownership of their own AIs, this comes into the how does the ASM AI protocol leverage the Web3 technologies to enhance its capabilities? What are the synergies between decentralized intelligence and the Web3 paradigm?
Yeah, great question. So, so one of the sort of powerful things that the Web3 community is trying to bring forward is self-sovereign data and self-sovereign ownership of digital things and digital assets. And this is, part of why the NFT space kind of exploded, is because for the first time, digital content could be owned, and people could decide what they did with that content, whether it was to trade. Well, it was mostly to trade it, but and swap and sell. But that was a very novel concept in the digital space. So this is one of the things that we wanted to bring to AI, was the ability to have some ownership over everything from the models themselves to the personalities that the models express themselves through, and as much of AI as possible. Another thing that sort of Web3 technologies are hoping to bring about is, and things like ZK will help with, is the self-sovereignty of data. So the data that the AI uses to do what it does, being able to anonymize that, and retain ownership of that data, but also let the AI do what it needs to do, is a pretty big problem space that I think the open source space is going to solve long before the proprietary space is going to solve. In fact, I don't think the proprietary space is even motivated to solve that problem at all, because most of these companies have been working off the premise of taking as much data as possible and not allowing people to have self-sovereign control over it. So I think Web3 technologies are kind of important, particularly for the open source AI space, to enable a whole bunch of these things that we think should be kind of basic rights that you get to decide what happens with your online persona and your online data. So that's that's what we think about Web3 tech and AI.
And so like two key concepts are simply like the trust and transparency, like how to ensure the integrity and accountability of data and all decision-making processes. Like that's how AI is entering into our life. The Web3 component with smart contracts and DAOs can be just combined with let's say with an intelligent algorithm to have some autonomous, some trustless systems that will be able to operate in a transparent and auditable manner. That's the vision that we are also looking forward towards the merging of Web3 technologies and decentralized intelligence.
Awesome. Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate the insights. And one of those, the big ones as well that I've sort of taken note of is that, it's that everybody wants a piece of your data because data is, something that companies can sell. And it's nice to sort of hear that that's not the plan. You should be in charge of your own data because it's essentially your online code. It's who you are as a person that seems to be something that everyone wants a piece of, which isn't, the most fun thing to think about. Another one to go through is that what are the potential changes and considerations when implementing and scaling AI training, especially with how the memory trees work within the AI protocol? And obviously this can be a major challenge. And what are ways that you address this?
Do you want to have a crack at that one, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. So so sorry, Dan, can you repeat that last part of the question?
Yeah. I'll repeat for you for sure. I'll just go through it how it's written. What are the potential challenges and considerations when implementing and scaling training and memory trees within the AI protocol, and how can these challenges be addressed?
I think like some of the main changes rely on the amount of data of processes that can be created and understanding how they can be used, understanding what is inside this black box, and realizing that AI can make some mistakes, and part of the I guess educational piece that needs to come along with is how do I go along with my AI and understand how it behaves, how it will react to certain situations, and be acknowledgeable that it can make mistakes. Like with the growth of hardware, of accessibility of AI, another challenge is the amount of AI we're going to have to deal with, and how we're going to be able to trust this kind of AI, and by understanding better the mechanism, by understanding better how you can create, how you can improve your AI, we believe that we are going to be able to address these challenges.
Yeah, awesome. I love the mention of how do we trust the AI. It's an interesting one that does come up in topic quite a lot. So another one that going back to Paddy is that even yourself, David, that Paddy's been described as like the light implementation, or the initial sort of, so people can see it and use it as the ASM AI protocol. But can you tell us what we can expect to see next, and what developments are on the horizon for that protocol?
Yep. So essentially, the infrastructure and work that Nick and his team had done to build what we needed for FIFA needs to go through another iteration of development to be released, like we've released Paddy. So that work is currently on the horizon. To get that ready for the AIFA release. It's essentially just what you see with Paddy, but turned up to 11 to enable much more complex training environments, like the complexity of the soccer training environment. So watch this space, and we'll continue to give you guys announcements on what's happening there.
And so the AI protocol with Paddy is really about training your AI. Like this is this component is already well solved for us internally. What the protocol also encapsulates is the evaluation. Like, what is the value of the AI that you've just trained? defining this value is a key part of the protocol, because you have an AI model, but you don't know how it's going to behave, what it's going to do, is not that important. But having your trained AI and knowing what it's worth is part of the protocol, and this evaluation component is very important. So you have some of the premise of this evaluation in PADI. It's a pure kind of a local evaluation that you look at against a defined set of opponents. But this evaluation can be extended much further. And when we work on FIFA with a similar considerations, the training is done. Like there is not that much challenge. The very challenging part is what is the value of a FIFA AI model. That is what we are still working on, and we want to make this. We want to make the value of a model be very understandable, very approachable, very accessible by anyone taking ownership of these models. The second thing to look forward is also, like, we are trying to scope the problem of FIFA so that most of the trainings that you will do with soccer-like environments will provide you some good models that improve over time and that are enjoyable. So the problems is still to be kind of refined to reach an enjoyable journey when playing this game.
Yeah, because that was a big part of the work you did in particular, was around the evaluation part of the pipeline.
Yes.
Which became very obvious as we went through the FIFA, and through the AIFA development, that we needed to have this on the sort of the back end of that training pipeline, in order to give us and also the protocol the feedback it needs to make sure when you do train something, it is improving, or it is at least changing in a direction that you want it to change. Actually, that's the language I like to use for this, because you're not necessarily looking for improvements, you're looking for a change. So if you're wanting to re-strategize your players to be more defensive, that's not necessarily an improvement per se. It's a change, which is what we're looking. And you want it to go in a specific direction, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good point to raise, that it's not necessarily about improvement. Like, with more training, you are gonna improve in certain areas, but you may not perform as well as before in other areas. So it's a very nuanced exercise. And what is very important is this feedback loop between, I would want my agents to behave more like this. This has to be this has to be expressed in very simple terms. And as you observe back the result, as we evaluate your trained agent, is it behaving in the way incentivize it? This is like the key part to get the protocol to come together.
Beautiful. Cheers, guys. All right, I've got a couple more questions just from the community now, but if you do have any questions in the audience, now would be the time to just pop your hands up, so I can start clinically in a few minutes or so. One of the pre-submitted ones, I believe from the Discord, is around PADI, and around PADI at the moment at least, and it reads, how does AI improve over time? Does it learn from each game or each training session? And then they go on to say, I might not be looking at the data correctly, but I find it difficult in tracking progress. Is it always playing against the sort of a same difficulty opponent? And how would you tackle this for things like AIFA or TNL?
Yeah, I think this kind of leads into what we were just talking about So Paddy's a pretty simple game. There's not a lot that AI can necessarily improve on once it gets to a certain level. But you could change its approach to doing things by retraining it.
So
Sorry, I just
so
had to
this was
so how we're tackling it for AIFA and more complex things like AIFA and TNL is definitely some of the stuff that we're just talking about with Nick, which was as this evaluation pipeline. And with more complex games like that, it would be more obvious that the difference between improvement and change when you're training an AI model. Yes, you do want to see incremental improvement for particular things, but also sometimes you want to change to meet the new meta game or a particular opponent or whatever it might be, which is what the training is kind of about.
And so to answer the question, which was a great question, by the way, the agent is improving through the training sessions. It doesn't learn anything during the game itself. The game itself is more actually about is an opportunity for the user to create a subjective evaluation, to kind of try to relate to its AI and see where it improves, where it should improve for the next training session. So the improvements happens exclusively in the training session for this first for the first few games that will be released. How this is going to evolve in with AIFA and TNL, there is one of the one important mechanic that we leverage in this kind of game is by letting you choose who you train against. So when you train against different profile, your AI is going to decide, is going to learn how to counter, how to be efficient to satisfy its incentives, to collect the most rewards, and will kind of adapt its style to its opponent. At the moment with Paddy, we have a fixed set of opponents. How this is going to evolve with the next games is to increase the pool of opponents, and this pool of opponents are going to improve or are going to change over time. Like to reuse David's idea that it's not just about improvement, it's about change. And because the change is gonna happen as players are gonna decide to have a more aggressive style or be more defensive, the opponents are also gonna evolve. And as a user, you will want to adapt and find the right strategy, the right kind of fine tuning to beat your next opponents.
Yeah, I mean, one very sort of simple example of that is that, so the metagame is shifting and you've built a sort of very defensive team, but you want to sort of switch it to an aggressive style. It's not improving them per se, but it's switching the strategy that your AI uses. So rather than, it's not always improving, as you guys have been said, but it's more about changing, which is cool to think about. There's going to be I can foresee a lot of people trying to min-max exactly how your teams play and what they want to do. I've got one more here, and then we'll open it up to the floor. But there's people already trying to min-max, which is people are asking, are there tutorials or guides to help us understand the game mechanics, especially with how the training is affecting our memory trees? I guess this would relate directly to Paddy at the moment.
Not on Paddy, but what I kind of expect to happen once the bigger and more grander games come out is that we'll start to see these kinds of things pop up that are made out of the community. Part of the fun of these kinds of games for me is that discovery process. You know, with traditional video games, there's a finite amount of things that you can discover, and that's what the engineers have put into built into the game. And there's actually another sort of subsection of which is called emergent gameplay, where unintentional things get discovered by users. What I want to do, and what I think machine learning games are great at, is expanding on that emergent gameplay piece, which is the part that I find the most exciting, and providing the community with a game that they can go and discover that we might not necessarily ever know what the or could imagine what the consequences would be. So that's kind of exciting for me. So what I'm looking forward to once things like TNL come out is seeing what the community does and how they evolve that emergent gameplay in interesting ways. So there's not likely going to be, pre-canned guides for that sort of stuff. We being, the very nature of emergent gameplay.
Yeah,
Yes,
I guess it'll be a lot of. Sorry, you carry on, Nicolas.
Oh, so, yes. Yeah, sorry, Dan. Again, like I will reinsist on it's part of the evaluation that needs to be continuously built upon on. The evaluation is going to allow you to understand where and understand how your memory tree is doing, like how your AI models have evolved, and what are they good at, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and when you are going to kind of mix all the memory trees from all the users, some patterns are going to start to emerge, and there will be a continuous exploration phase, because the desire is always going to be to be on the top, to beat your next opponents, but your next opponent will always bring something new, because he also has the same desire. And how this is going to evolve is very in the hand of the community, and it is it will be very hard for the game studio to foresee and push towards a particular direction. And this new gameplay style, much more owned by the game community, is going to be fascinating to observe and see how it evolves.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. All right, I will start inviting people on stage. Let's see if Twitter plays nice. Please hold, caller. Your time is important to us. I do love saying that. Mansa, welcome to the stage. Do you have a question for David and Nicolas? You are currently muted.
Oh, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Welcome.
Yeah, so let's say, because I wanted to do DeFi with the AI, I was trying to see, like, is that something that's in the work, or can we be specific with how we train it when we're doing DeFi, like a trading bot or something like that? Like, is that possible in the future? That's it.
Yeah, so the protocol's designed to be agnostic towards AIs. I think you might want to train several different kinds of AI for that particular task. At the moment, people are using things like LLMs to assist with trading. I think there's some more sophisticated stuff you can do by when you start to combine different kinds of AIs, including LLMs, including AIs capable of sort of researching up-to-date information and understanding sentiment, for example. So the protocol is being built so that you can start to bring in these different types of AIs. We do have an LLM that we've been working on, FV Chat, which I think Aaron's sort of leaked some stuff on here and there, that will be able to help in that kind of task in particular. But once we release the first example of composable AI elements, I think some of those use cases will start to make sense.
Yep, that's absolutely right. The protocol is there to enable any type of AI. So at the moment, the game experiences are leveraging what is called reinforcement learning. It is a subfield within the AI, ML, AI and machine learning space, but it's not the only one that is supported by the protocol. The like DeFi applications are definitely will definitely be supported, and kind of internally we can already leverage the protocol to work on these kind of applications.
All right. Now let me ask you this: is that going to be incorporated with the ASM brains?
Yes.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. That's all I wanted. Thanks.
Thanks for the questions.
Awesome. Thanks very much for your question. I do love it when David gives a very short and sweet answer to something. It always feels good. Yes or no? It's a good one. All right, let's get our next question master up onto the stage. Give me one moment. Seems to take a little while for my phone to know what's happening. Oh, I think they dropped wanting to ask a question. Maybe we already answered it for them. And I just saw a festival of Atari, so I believe that's it. But it was already. Oh no, here he is. Atari, welcome to the stage.
Hey, what's up, guys? GM, hear me okay?
Hey, yeah,
perfect.
How's it going, man?
Hey, good. Gosh, I always have so many things ruminating in my brain, and I love these spaces. To try to minimize what I want to ask, one, what are you guys thinking in regards to like mass adoption and like I know we're at the inception stages of this thing, and in regards to like the FIFA release and Patty, it's kind of like a replay system. Are you planning on having these things like a live tournament style where people are going to be able to watch and be more interactive with each other and watch in regards to like feel like you're in it instead of clicking on like a replay button? I know we're at the very beginnings, but I just was curious on where your head was at in regards to that.
For Paddy, I think we were going to put all our development effort into AIFA and TNL for now. So I expect Paddy to be kind of not have a huge amount of development done on it until those games are out. And I think that's what the community is wanting us to do. As soon as we can get those big properties out. I don't really see. I mean, it depends on how the community ultimately feels and the response we get to Paddy. If there's a huge demand for us to develop that further, then we'll definitely look at doing that. But right now, our focus is TNL and AIFA and getting that into your hands as soon as possible, with all the wonderful features that we've been talking about for the past year.
Okay, yeah, I kind of, and just to clarify, I meant in regards to just like AIFA, just being able for like the whole community to be able to hop on the Futureverse website and watch each other compete.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely functionality. We're looking for things like AIFA as the ability to do things like replays and see the games live and tournaments and things like that. But we've first got to get the game out there into people's hands and then see what kind of features people gravitate towards.
I understand we're in the inception. And I guess the other couple things that kind of were just popping on my mind were I know the skills and everything will be based off of the AI and the brain. What about stuff like the Genesis? I know the hobby was going to be more of just an aesthetic thing, but like being chromatic or being a morph mutant, I kind of get an idea what a morph mutant is by watching FIFA. But stuff like that, is there any plans? Is that going to be more for just showing off skills, or will that have any effect on the game?
So with AIFA, we didn't want it to be a sort of pay to win um, scenario. So the rarity amongst the all stars were designed to be cosmetic only and not affect gameplay. Because we don't want to say, if you spend a few grand on an all star, then you're guaranteed to have a better time. Because that kind of just alienates the game for a lot of people. So we try and keep the things that drive speculation to a large degree away from the gameplay mechanics.
Okay, cool. And just, I guess the last thing, oh, sorry, were you saying something, Dan?
Oh yeah, I'll just add one more thing is games like AIFA are extremely complex. Like you will be managing 4 brain at a time that interact with each other. You will like the brains will impact directly how the models behave. And so part of the in order to not make the step too high, we also need to keep things as simple as possible and with a fairly small number of parameters that let's say we human can address and really understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And I guess just the last thing on speculation, I was just, I see the way you guys, this is the inception, how you train the brains. I'm presuming it'll be something somewhat similar when AIFA comes out. In my mind, I was thinking that we might be able to use Asto energy instead of Asto for all the liquidity bootstrappers. I don't even know if that's something you can comment on or if that's going to be used for training. That was just the other thing that was ruminating in my brain, if you can comment.
So at the moment, training is earmarked for Asto, but we do have Asto energy being used for different things. We've had to kind of take a step back and think about the Void protocol and how those Void rewards go back to the community. Simple things like, oh, let's give the community rewards and let's spread it out over different time zones. In theory, in our minds, that worked really well, but we got actually a bunch of backlash from the community for giving them stuff, which means that we have to go back to the drawing board and rethink how we do that. So that's the Void protocol. We've had to kind of go back and think how those rewards get back to the customer, how the Void game itself at its core works. And listen to the feedback that we got regarding that.
Cool. Thanks for bringing me up, guys. I appreciate it. I'm a lifer with you guys. So sometimes I get impatient like everybody else. I have my off days, but I'm here for the long run. I'm excited.
Thanks, bro. I always appreciate your questions.
Yep, of course.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tari, for your time. And I believe I've got one final question from the community, honestly, to sort of wrap it up and sort of end this one off. But I think it's very open-ended to the both of you, which is, what are you most looking forward to in this space and sort of the next 12 months? What are you looking to build? What are you looking to play? What are you looking to get your hands on?
So I have been really encouraged by the pace of the open source community and what all the advancements that are coming out on almost daily basis now with people tinkering with AI and what it can do. I think the recent explosion in what LLMs can do is really interesting. I think language for animals is proven to be a really powerful tool, as you can see how humans have used it. And I think we're going to start discovering new things that language can do now that AIs can process it at the rate that they can, and interact with it how they can, and new insights into not just what AI can do, but into how humans operate, which I'm kind of fascinated by. I'm really looking forward to stuff that we've been working on a little bit internally, which is sort of dynamic NPCs or AI NPCs for games. I think that's going to bring a whole new dimension to gaming, and really keen to start seeing some of those examples come out, and a whole bunch of stuff that me and Nick and the rest of the team are going to be working on, that sort of blue skies leading edge technology over the next 12 months.
Yeah, on my side, I'm also looking forward kind of a healthy engagement between let's say human and AI. Like AI is getting so much into our life. It's somehow intimidating, but it's also able to do amazing things. Like how we are going to embrace this new era is what I'm looking forward, and and how like at the Futureverse level, how we're going to be able to contribute to educate, to onboard people with these new technologies, and let people own and decide how what to do, and actually do good things with it, is something I'm really looking forward. And then more precisely with the work that we're doing at Futureverse, releasing more more games like Paddy, like AIFA, and seeing how these games are going to evolve, seeing how some other projects we're working on are going to be kind of taken over by the community, how Futureverse and the community is going to work together towards more open innovation, is something I'm very excited about the next 12 months and further.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, David and Nicolas, for your time. It's been very good. Wow.
One more thing, sorry. Just coming in right at the end. There's a question in the comment section about if there's been any talk about genome mapping, and I can probably answer that. That'll probably be ready in like 2 weeks. I'm just currently working with the TNL game designers and AIFA people to make sure we can get the most the best information we can out of the community for that. So that'll be for Genesis brain holders, and anyone who's keen to participate in that, just go have a play with Paddy and have a look at the brains you mint and what kind of genomes they have and how they perform against the different kind of opponents that we have. And then you'll kind of get an idea of, oh, okay, this genome performs like this against an all-rounder, but it's performing really well against a buff kind of thing. And just basically have a play and then have a think about how that might affect AIFA and TNL and things like that. So that will come along very soon, and it'll actually be a very useful thing for game designers, because the community or the Genesis brain holders will actually inform us how the game decision making process happens within a game. So you'll like decide alongside us kind of thing. So I'm excited for that, and stay tuned. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Suda. Cool. All right. Thanks everybody for your time. Thank you, David. Thank you, Nicolas, for joining us. Honestly, it's been very informative. I've learned a lot, so that was cool. as someone who's really excited to get their hands on these tools and using them in a way that I would have never really known of how to use them, because I'm not an AI scientist. So really interesting to hear you talk about it, Nicolas and David. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been recorded, so we will get it saved and uploaded to all the places that we need to. If you are looking out for it, just make sure you're in the Discord or keep an eye on the Twitter, and we'll get the recording out there as soon as we can. Any follow-up questions, feel free to ask in the Discord as well. I'll be in there. And if these two don't have time, I can always feed back questions to them and get your answers for you. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, night, afternoon, wherever you are in the world.